Like April said, my name's Renee. I'm from Wolf Adventures. We're going to be running the camp for your kids this year. Wolf is a nonprofit company. We've been around since about 1994. We do trips like this all over Southern California. We work with all different schools and school districts, mainly doing programs just like this with 5th and 6th graders. The camp they're going to is coming up in April. It's April 4th through 6th at Camp Hilltop, and that's in Malibu. If any of you are familiar with the area, it's off the PCH, right next to Neptune's Net. It's a famous restaurant right across from the beach there. It's literally right next door to that, but on top of a mountain. It is one of my favorite camps because of the view. You're on top of this mountain with this gorgeous view of all of Malibu and the ocean. You can usually see the Channel Islands. It's really, really pretty. It's fun because, like I said, it is on top of a mountain, so there's some really fun hikes to do. It is a really great camp. It is a typical summer camp, so during the summer they've got their hundreds of kids running around. And then during the school year, the camp is rented to groups like us. So there's typical things like there's the dining hall, there's cabins, there's other sorts of buildings, fields, all sorts of things that you would expect to see at a regular camp. All right. So before we talk about the schedule a little bit, does anyone have any super pressing questions they need answered? Yes.
Is the toilets inside of the cabins or outside of the cabins?
Okay, so the way the cabins work is each cabin, there's 12 cabins total, so usually we do half boys, half girls, just depending on numbers. Each cabin shares a bathroom with the cabin next door to it, and they have to go out onto the porch. So you go out of your cabin, there's a little porch that connects the two cabins, and the bathroom's in between. So there's a girl cabin on one side, girl cabin on the other side, and they share the porch bathroom. And then in the bathroom, it's regular, flush toilets, hot, cold showers. The showers either have curtains or doors, regular, pretty nice bathrooms. All right.
I have one question.
Yeah.
My son wants to know if you guys are going to swim in the ocean.
No, we will end up hiking down to the beach, but it's more of like the kind of beach where you look at tide pools and things like that. It's really rocky. It's not the kind of where we're getting wet kind of thing. Sometimes, there will be the couple kids that will get their shoes wet, but that's about as wet as we get. Yeah. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do at camp. So they're going to arrive there early in the morning on the 4th, 9, 10-ish, whenever you guys leave school and get to us. When they get there, we'll introduce all of our lovely Wolf staff. We'll introduce all the kids. We'll give some basic ground rules, introductions, things like that. And then we'll break the kids up into what we call trail groups. And the trail groups are groups of about 12 kids. And they're mixed gender. And these are the groups that they do most of the activities in. The school will put together the trail groups before the trip based on who signs up. They know best who should and shouldn't be together, things like that. So these trail groups, they'll be in most of the time. This is where they do this are the groups that they'll do most of their activities with. There'll be times where like 2 trail groups are doing an activity together, or 4 or 6, or even everybody. So if their best friend isn't with them, don't worry, they'll still see them plenty of time. Once they're in their trail groups, they'll get a little time to get to know everyone. It's a big group, so they might not necessarily know some of the kids in their trail group very well. So they'll have a little bit of time to get to know everybody, play some ice-breaking kind of games, do some team-building games, and then it's lunchtime. Like I said, the camp has a big dining hall. We have 3 meals a day. There's breakfast, lunch, dinner. On that first day, they'll get there after breakfast, so they'll eat with you guys before they go to camp. And then we'll have lunch at noon, dinner's always at 6, and then breakfast is always at 8. The dining hall is really, really good at making sure they have options, vegan, vegetarian, gluten, any of that stuff. Just let us know ahead of time so that we can make sure they have those options available. It's very kid-friendly food, pizza, spaghetti, French toast, pancakes, things like that. It's typically buffet style, so the kids take what they want. There's lots of choices for them in the dining hall. Does anyone have any questions about meals while we're talking about that? Or the dining hall? Yeah.
Can they take snacks with them for the evening when they go under, cabins to share?
No, we don't recommend bringing food because typically, food gets left open, doors get left open, you will have a small furry visitor that you do not want in your cabin if you bring food.
So 6 is the last time?
Yeah. Yeah. There's always fruit available as well in the dining hall. So, if it's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock and they're hungry, there's always fruit available. Yeah.
Is the food prepared in a dining hall, or are you getting from outside?
No, the food is prepared at camp. There's a whole kitchen facility, a kitchen staff. They make all the food. It's out in warming trays for the kids. Yeah. Any other questions about meals or food or the dining hall? All right. Oh, and then there is also snack time every day, usually around about 4 o'clock. We have some sort of snack, crackers, popsicles, pretzels, something, just depending on the day. All right, so after lunch on that first day, they're going to start doing one of 4 big activities at camp. These 4 big activities that they're going to do, the first one is our Primitive Living Skills Village. And this is where they get a chance to go back in time, Native American, colonial, early American settlers. And we talk about different weapons, food, clothing, building, all different things that people did to survive and then how they did it. They'll get a chance to shoot archery, throw tomahawks. We make a leather craft called medicine bags they take home. We do shell drilling where they make these necklaces with shells on them. The kids always like that one. And then some hot stone cooking where we make these lovely delicious things called corn cakes that I always eat too many of. They're really, really good. So that's Primitive Living Skills. That one is always a really popular one with the kids. The next big activity they'll do is our science activities. And these are things like we do solar boats, where in teams they design and build their own boat, hook up the battery, the propeller, the motor, and then we race them against everybody else. We do something else called animal auction, where we talk about all the animals in the area, different adaptations, what makes the animals, and then we play a game where, you know, there's an auction and a gavel, and they get chips, and everyone's yelling. It's tons of fun. All right? The next big activity that we'll all do is the high ropes course. The one at Hilltop is my absolute favorite one that we use of every single camp because of the view. Like I said, we're on top of a giant hill in Malibu, and then you're also on a ropes course. For those of you that aren't familiar with a ropes course, it's a similar to an idea of a rock climbing wall. You know, there's climbing, but it's basically giant telephone poles in the ground connected with wires and cables and ropes and things like that. So it's more like walking across a trapeze wire, things like that, zip lines. That's part of the high ropes course. But like I said, it's on top of the hill, and then you're on top of the ropes course, so you just have this huge, giant view of the ocean. It's gorgeous. The ropes course has a lot of cool activities. It's typically the highlight for a lot of the kids. Like I said, there's a zip line, there's a catwalk, which is basically like a giant balance beam about 40 feet up in the air. There's something called the leap of faith, where you climb up to the top of the telephone pole and then you jump for a trapeze. The kids always have tons of fun. I see some worried faces. Don't worry, they're harnessed in, they're connected to ropes. It's 100% safe. My favorite statistic is that you are more likely to get injured from a candy machine than from a ropes course, so just keep that in mind. It is a challenge by choice activity, so don't worry if your child is absolutely terrified of heights. We're not going to force them to climb. Really, we just ask that everybody tries. If they, get a foot off the ground and that's as high as they ever want to be off the ground, that's fine. We just want everyone to try. All right, any questions about the ropes course? Oh, yes.
I had a question about the cabin. They're gonna have water, drinking water in the cabin?
There's always water in the
bottled
bathroom.
water?
Yeah, and then they need to bring a water bottle. But we'll talk about that in just a minute when we get to packing. All right, and then the last big activity will be a hike. Like I said, we're on top of a mountain. There's a lot of cool hikes to do. The big hike we typically do is we go all the way down the mountain to the beach. And like I said, there's that beach. We have beach access down at the camp. Depending on the time, usually we can see some cool stuff in the tide pools. It's fun, like, little area to hike around and explore. And then we hike all the way back up the hill to camp. It is a fun hike. It's a hard hike, but the kids always enjoy it quite a bit. So those are the 4 big activities they'll do. They will do all 4 of those at some point during camp before they go home. Because of the number of kids, they won't all necessarily be doing it at the same time. So maybe one day they do the ropes course and primitive living skills, and then the next day they do science and the hike, while another group of kids is doing the ropes course that day. That makes sense. All right? So after they do, back to our schedule, so they'll do one of those 4 big activities in that afternoon, the first day, and then we'll all meet together at 4, we'll have a snack, and then we'll move everybody into their cabins. This is always everybody's, the kids anyway, favorite part. Like I said, the cabins sleep about 12 people. Every 2 cabins share a bathroom. Bathrooms, flush toilet, showers, all that fun stuff. The school will be putting together who's in what cabin. It'll be 11 kids and 1 wolf staff per cabin. Obviously, all girls and girls cabins, all boys and boys cabins. If it's a girls cabin, they'll have a female wolf staff. If it's a boys cabin, they'll have a male wolf staff. And the wolf staff's in there, you know, if anyone has any issues, it's dark at night, they don't want to walk, you know, outside to the bathroom by themselves. Basically, anything they need, we're there to help them out. Like I said, though, the teachers will decide who's in what cabin, because again, they know best who should be together and who should maybe not. Any questions about the cabins? Yeah.
You provide the mattresses, I know, but it's regarding to hygiene. I usually put my son pillowcase and a sheets to take with him, and same thing towels. Do you provide that, or they need to?
No, that's, yeah, so they need to bring their own sleeping bag. The mattresses are covered in that, that plastic, not that super thin plastic that crinkles every time you move, but that really thick hospital plastic. So some kids just bring a sleeping bag and put it right on top of the mattress. Some kids bring a fitted sheet and then bring sheets and sleep on it that way. Pretty much whatever you have will do. It's a twin size mattress, so you know if you have some twin sheets and no sleeping bag and you'd rather send that and a blanket or two, that works. Basically, what I say is if the sleeping bag has a Disney character on it, it's not warm enough for camp. But other than that, pretty much any sleeping bag blanket combination will do.
By the way, I just saw at Costco, in case you guys need it, yesterday they were selling sleeping bags for $29.99.
That is an excellent price.
And they were pretty good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, the cabins are indoors, they have heaters, and I mean, you get 12 people in those cabins, they're pretty warm. They're not going to be too cold at night. You don't need to worry too much about that, especially in April. Pretty much sleeping bag, or like I said, if you don't have a sleeping bag, a couple blankets and a sheet, that'll do as well. Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about the background and the qualifications of the staff?
Sure. All the wolf staff are 21 plus. First aid trained, background check, basically all that fun stuff that you have to be to work with kids. Our staff, what I love about our staff is most of them have been around for quite a long time. I've been with the company 13 years and there's quite a few people who have been there way longer. Yeah.
Can some of your friends be together?
I have see, this is what I love saying, I have no control over who's in your cabin or your trail group. That sort of questions gets directed towards these lovely people right here. Usually they make sure, though, that you have a friend or two.
Teachers.
Oh, no, not even to them. Oh, you don't even have to. Your teachers will be deciding that.
Oh no.
Yes.
Where are the teachers and, I don't know, last time we weren't sure, I think, in the meeting?
Yes.
The principal gonna be, they're not gonna be in the cabin?
No, the wolf staff are going to stay in the cabins with the kids, and then the teachers will be nearby. There's several cabins right near the kids' cabins where they'll stay overnight.
When you say wolf staff, you guys are contract employees for the company, or you there?
No, we are wolf staff. I'm a wolf
You
staff, he's wolf staff.
But are you licensed to do the job you do around?
Yeah, we all work
Okay.
for the company. Everyone that is working the program, they all work for us all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me, I don't know if you mentioned, is this bunk beds or are they?
Yeah, I don't think I did. It is indeed bunk beds. So that
Is it railed on the?
yeah, so the top is railed. The top bunk is probably about here
Oh, okay.
in height, so it's not very high. It's pretty easy to get up and down from. But yeah, there is a rail on them. The beds are also pretty close together, so it's pretty easy to get up and down because there's other beds too.
And their stuff, is there a closet for
There's
them?
not closets, there's little cubby holes. Typically, the boys' cabins, their stuff is just on the ground. The girls' cabins is all nicely hung up and put away in the cubbies. That's typically how it is. All right, so back to our schedule. All right, so on that first day, it's 4 o'clock, we've had our snack, we've moved into our cabin, and then they'll get about an hour of time, and they'll get that both days. They'll get about an hour of time in their cabin to shower, relax, and get ready for the night. Once they've done that, it's 6 and it's time for dinner. We'll all eat dinner together in the dining hall, and then after dinner we start doing some of our nighttime activities. The first night they're going to go out in their trail groups and do some night exploration, do a night hike, talk about how our senses change at night, and basically just kind of get comfortable being outside in the dark, walking around. And then we'll all come back together about 9, and then they head back to their cabins. The big question the kids like to ask is lights out. My answer always is it depends on your cabin because you have your wolf staff in there, so you know if you guys are being cool, playing cards quietly, lights out might be 10. If you're bouncing off the bunk beds, lights out might be 9:15. It just depends on the cabin. Typically though, they have about an hour once they get back to their cabin to get ready for bed, to get in bed. and start trying to fall asleep. All right, so that was the first day. Don't worry, it'll go a lot faster after this. But any questions about anything I have covered so far? Yes?
Cell phones.
Cell phones. We do not allow cell phones at camp. If they have to bring one, you guys can talk to the teachers and work out, they're going to carry it for them or something like that. But we don't want the kids to have phones at camp. There's not a lot of cell phone service. There's not a lot of places to charge it. They tend to get lost and broken.
Cameras?
Cameras are great. Bring cameras. I really recommend those disposable ones. They've come back into style. A lot of kids have them. The disposable cameras work great. Super cheap. And the great thing is if they lose it, break it, drop it, go into the shower with them, you're only out the cost of that actual camera. You weren't going to use it again anyway. It's a good one for for not getting broken. All right. Yes?
Do you guys kind of maintain the 11 kids to 1 grown-up ratio for all the activities?
Yeah, it's typically about 11 to 12 to 1, but then there's also our extra staff. Like, I'll be there running the program, and I won't have a group of 12 kids. Woody will be there every once in a while, and he won't have a group of kids. So there's extra adults as well as the trail group leaders, and they're also the ones staying in the cabin, plus